The year is 2021. COVID stopped being funny like a year ago, and society as a whole is starting to get real tired of the whole living through historic events thing. And my lonely ass is having an existential crisis trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with my life. My film degree wasn't working out. The school I really wanted to go to rejected me for the 4th time. And it seemed like no girl on the planet wanted anything to do with me. You would think that I'd be playing a game that would let me escape my troubles. Something relaxing, not the misery machine that is Escape from Tarkov. Why am I even recording these? Yet here I was, throwing myself time and time again into Suffering 2 Tarkov Boogaloo, flipping off my monitor anytime I got head-eyes from across the map by what was probably a cheater. To top it off, I was stupid enough to record it. I barely knew the game, let alone was any good at it. In hindsight, I really don't know what I was thinking. All I did was leave a record of how miserable I was at the time. No! To be absolutely 100% clear, I didn't hate Escape from Tarkov. The gun mechanics, from how they feel in game to the modding system, is hands down one of the best out there. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. The small touches to player health, like bleeds, pain, fractures, as well as the effect of like losing your stomach to hydration and energy, makes the survival elements feel integral to the game and not just tacked on to appease the hardcore gamer. It's just that the devs' focus on making this game as painful as possible creates an ultra-competitive environment that A, rewards people for making this literally the only game they play and turns it into a full-time job, and B, makes it into a breeding ground for cheaters, account recoveries, and farming services, those gamers who are just too impatient or literally just cannot sink 40 hours a week into this game to get good enough to survive, or are just plain frustrated with the pointless brutality. This all in turn makes it not really a fun game for someone like me, at least in the state of the live version at the time, and also its current state.
Let's see if I can't see where I'm going from up here. Nope. Right, yellow. Oh, there's people behind me.
One global pandemic and personal existential crisis later, we hit 2024. I had all but given up on Tarkov. This is despite sinking around $150 into it by upgrading to the Edge of Darkness edition, thinking somehow more stash base would make me a better gamer.
Oh my gosh!
Anyway, I can't remember how I quite came across it. It may have been an email from Battlestate Games' marketing department, or it may have been a YouTuber talking about it, but I heard that Tarkov was getting a PvE mode. My interest was very piqued. Finally, I could get back into Tarkov in an environment where I wasn't getting absolutely clowned on by Twitch streamers and sweats, or constantly thinking that every time I did get clowned on, it was probably a cheater, because chances were, it was.
Oh, he's wiggling, look. See that?
Yep.
Yeah, that is a thing. With the promise of no wipes, a hard reset of everyone's characters that happens every few months, and being able to avoid the cheater-infested wasteland that is the live servers, I bolted to BSG's website to download the launcher to dive in again. It was then I discovered the giant-ass asterisk to the PvE mode. Not only was it a paid upgrade, it was locked behind a new edition called the Unheard Edition. To make matters worse, to upgrade from what was originally the Pinnacle Edition, Edge of Darkness, which at the time of purchase came with a promise of getting all future DLCs for free, which, in my book, PvE counted as, it was going to be the low price of $100. I was about to swear I'd never install Tarkov again and kiss my original $150 goodbye when I remembered a little mod project I'd investigated before and consequently given up on because I didn't want to get my account banned if I uploaded videos about it or streamed it, which BSG had a tendency to do at the time. Single Player Tarkov, or SPT for short. Or, as it was now known to me as, free PvE. Feeling spiteful about being shaken down for $120 more by a company that was trying to argue that adding a core feature of the game wasn't downloadable content, despite it being content for said game that was downloaded over the internet, I downloaded SPT completely unaware that this would become a new hyperfixation. This is gonna end so badly, isn't it? No, I said it was gonna end badly. Wait. I don't know what it was about finally being able to enjoy Tarkov by playing SPT that triggered a full-on dive into autistic hyperfixation. Theories include it was attached to a previous hyperfixation that still lingered, guns and gear, you can think airsoft for that one. The core gameplay loop hits all of the dopamine receptors in just the right way, and by the time I got into it, school had ended for the semester and I suddenly had a lot more free time. Also, SPT was uniquely positioned to fill the hole that Destiny 2 had just barely vacated. Whatever the reason was, it grabbed me and it refused to let go. I can just hear people saying,
It's just Tarkov with bots. How amazing can it be? Besides, Battlestate Games reversed on the whole $100 upgrade thing and walked back the insanity. Why don't you just play the PvE mode now?
The too long didn't read version, it's mod support. The SPT modding scene is what takes this from beyond Tarkov with bots to it's Tarkov, but with better bots and more guns and expanded gameplay. The amount of time the SPT community has put into just fixing and improving upon Tarkov's AI, making the bots intelligent enough at times to feel like real players, or even pushing beyond that to making them superhuman cheating machines for those who like punishment, is immensely appreciated by people like me. Being able to dial in the bots to be difficult, but not outright unfair at my skill level, with the option to turn things up later as I get better, makes it so that the game grows with me and guarantees that every time I get on, it's going to be a great time. Not a frustrating mess that leaves me empty by the time I get pissed off enough to quit and play more Stardew Valley just to feel something. Do not even get me started on all of the quality of life fixes modders have introduced or reintroduced into the game. Like having a hotkey to throw whatever grenade you have, which used to be the default in Tarkov. Avoiding the process of having to take out your grenade, pull the pin, aim it and chuck it. You don't care what grenade it is, you don't care about placing it perfectly, you just need to go in that general direction and hopefully hit something. Or being able to shorten the healing animations based on how much health you're having to heal. Need to heal 1 or 2 hit points? The animation's the equivalent of slapping a band-aid on a paper cut. Need to regenerate your whole arm? Well, that's probably gonna take a minute. Have a tiny screen and a low-resolution monitor? A hotkey to zoom in a little bit like you can in Arma. There's even small things, like color-coding ammunition so that at a glance you can tell if the ammo has high penetration or sits on the lower end which has more flesh damage. Which helps when there are around a half a dozen ammo types for one caliber sometimes. Want something that's even more brutal than vanilla Tarkov? You can even mod the game so that there comes a point where you're essentially permadead. No money, no meds, anytime you spawn in you just die instantly due to the injuries sustained in past raids. It's not my thing, but more power to ya. SPT is infinitely more customizable than vanilla Tarkov. And that's what appeals to me the most. You get the experience you want while experiencing the game as it was mostly intended. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, though. Managing these mods is difficult. Trying to sniff out problems with your load order or conflicting mods can be a pain and sometimes borderline impossible. Then there is the problem that every time Tarkov updates, you are a version behind, sometimes 2. Also, right when you get everything with your install sorted and just how you like it, SPT will release a new version catching up with or getting closer to live, but none of the mods can be carried forward, so you either have to just grit your teeth and play vanilla Tarkov to get the new stuff, or wait, sometimes months on end, for your mod list to get updated, or to find replacements for those mods that just get plain abandoned, which is where I'm at. I am currently 3 versions behind on my current save. I have 85 plus million rubles and around 30,000 USD and euros. My stash is worth hundreds of millions of rubles, and I'm feeling like I'm ready to just start over. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wipe my save, move over to my 3.10 build, which was finally gotten to the point where I'm happy with it, and I'm going to take you all along for the ride. I'm still deciding whether I want to do a 0 to hero run, where you start with literally nothing and try to survive, or a standard run. I'm sure it won't be long until I post something as a follow-up, or it'll be a year or two. Who knows? Life is crazy. But what I do know is that I want to thank you for sticking around this far into some stupid video where some bozo rants about their experience with Escape from Tarkov. I'm a nobody. But if this nobody can brighten someone's day for 10 or so minutes, then it is a job well done, and I'm happy to do it. I hope you'll stick around for other SPT videos or maybe something else. I've got a few ideas in the pipe right now that I'm still fleshing out, but maybe they'll see the light of day. Anyway, don't forget to drink some water, touch some grass, and I'll see you next time.